All right. Well, welcome you guys to another broadcast. I hope you guys can hear me. If you can, please just hit me up. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me because I'm going to be running my mouth for a minute here, and I just want to make sure that people will be able to hear me during the broadcast. In fact, while I am doing my thing here, I will check on my other phone to make sure. It looks like it's actually my audio is working here. So I'm just checking. Just y'all just give me just a moment here while I double check and make sure that the audio is working on my end here. So just give me a moment here. And I spent a great deal of time taking care of everything else, but I didn't run an actual test. I'm actually using a new software, a different software. This is actually based on my phone. It's not something that is, I'm used to working on my computer. So let's see. All right. Okay, it looks like it's working, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep it moving here. So welcome you guys, and I'm because I'm on my phone, I have to move kind of quick, and so it's not going to be the longer broadcast that we normally do. But yeah, I am again away from my home location and still taking care of my family member and loving every moment of it. And again, I just want to say big shout out to my beautiful, beautiful wife who is just been right there with me and just working right along with me. And there's just so much to sort through, to take care of, and all of that. But it's been, we're just taking things one day at a time. And it's been great. And so, anyway, so yeah, so that's what I've been up to. And again, life throwing you different curveballs. You better be ready to swing. You better be up at the plate, ready to swing. You can't be in the crowd just, saying what you would do. You're at the plate now, so you better do what you got to do when you're at the plate. So anyway, good to see as people are coming in or whatever. But like I said again, because I got a lot to cover and I'm doing this on my phone, I got to keep it moving, okay? So if I don't see you or give you a shout out, you just know. But big shout out, of course, to all the wonderful people that follow us for, been with us for a while, or you're just brand new. So glad and very appreciative of each and every one of you. Before we do get started, again, this broadcast was brought to you by Samba Tree. That is our natural herbal store that my wife and I started some time ago, and it has been a help and a blessing to so many people. This is just the first part, you guys. Just bear with me because I do want to share a very quick testimony, and we're going to dive right into the news. But we did receive a letter, an email from somebody. I'm not going to get too much into details, but seeing these kind of messages, it really lets us know that we're going in the right way. And basically, long story short, someone was dealing with a certain ailment that had to do with their skin. And they tried a lot of things. They even tried certain herbs and stuff like that. And we simply recommended something to them, and told them, hey, listen, you may want to try this because this is sounding kind of fungal or something, along those lines. And they tried it, and we just heard back from them, and they're saying how their skin is recovering. And this was after several years of trying all kinds of different things. And so, as we've been saying over and over again on this platform, that all the answers our body needs for perfect health, optimum health, I should say, is in nature. And that's what we focus on. And so, a lot of issues and stuff that we talk about on this platform, even when we're talking about stress, family issues, things like that, it starts with you. It starts with you setting the precedent, when it comes to your health. It's the health alone isn't the silver bullet, as I always say, but it is a big part of you having a clear mind to be able to handle and to deal with the stuff that we have to deal with, and so this is why we did Samba Tree. So it was so good to see that email, and it's just one of many, many, many messages we received from so many of our dear customers who are seeing a difference even from blood pressure, all kinds of stuff, diabetes, all kind of things. So make sure you check out our website, sabatree.com. Right now, we are running a special promo. Hey, sis, how you doing? And we have got in touch. One thing about curveballs is that you always still look for opportunities, and this, because I had to move some things around, it put us in a position where we could get back in touch with a manufacturer that we used to work with a long time ago, a black owned manufacturer. And when I tell you their body products were like top tier, excellent, excellent, excellent. Oh my God, excellent stuff. I'm not kidding with you. In fact, when the last time we were selling it during the whole COVID era. And man, you got every time we sold it, you guys cleared us out every time because you saw how good it was. I'm gonna try to figure out, like I said again, this is some new software I'm working with here. But just to give you an idea, and I'm gonna actually put something on my beard too, real quick here, so you can see. But give me just a moment here. Let me see if I can pull up some of the things here. Okay, so can you guys? I know you can probably barely see that here. Let me see. Let's see if it'll let me make it bigger. Hold on for just a second. Oh, it's making me bigger. Oh my God. Okay, no, not that. Oh, okay. Hold on. There you go. There you go. And like I said, I'm just doing this for the first time, you guys. So just bear with me. So anyway, here are just some of the things that we have. We have this product called Man Cave Brothers. Listen, let me tell you something very quickly. This stuff here is legit. If you want your beard to feel like a cloud, like a very moist cloud, you need to get this for real. I'm wearing some. I have some here right now. I just got out of the shower. I'm not going to get too much into it, but you can see on the screen here all the different things that are in it. It's all 100% natural and it smells great. So make sure you check that out. Let's see. Trying to get to the thing there. I'm just putting the different benefits on here. Let me move on to the next thing. If you have an issue with eczema, again, 100% natural. Here you can see all the ingredients in this as well. So check that out. And all of this is on our website, sabatree.com. Root strengthener and hair thickener. Look at all the ingredients, and it's 100%, you guys. Again, we are partnering with a black owned manufacturer located not too far from us, and they've been in business for years. We have this in stock right now. If you purchase today, it will ship in less than 48 hours to you. We've already been shipping things out, and we're going to continue to ship things out. But when I tell you, I am not just saying this. I mean, I really do mean it. This stuff is the bomb. I'm telling you. I know I'm dating myself, but deep refinement shampoo. We got this here, and it lists all the different ingredients that's in here, 100% natural. And this is just some of the stuff here. Oh, okay, that's it. So, yeah, there you go. So I just wanted to share that with you. That is going on right now as we speak. Let me see. I can get out of this here. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Let's see. How do you get out of this? Sorry, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. How do you get out of that? Anyway, hold on. Let's see. Oh, here you go. Here you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Okay. So that is going on as we speak right now. Sorry. Just make sure you check it out. It's on our website, sombertree.com. Really quick here, let me just show you just an example. I'm going to sit this here on my shirt here. Just you guys can still hear me. Again, I'm just going to show you. This is Man Cave. Like I said, I just took a shower. We have a conditioner, but this is it right here, but this is what you can put on that will be on your beard all day. But just look at the consistency of that, man. It's like, first of all, when you open it up, it smells wonderful, right? And so what I do is I just take some like this. And when I tell you my beard all day will be like a moist cloud, because one of the things I dealt with was my beard used to be so dry, and I would put some beard butters on and all that, and it would last a little bit. But this joint right here, this thing is the bomb. So yeah, you definitely want to try it. At least try it, you guys. Okay, go ahead and try it. If you got a special male in your life, man in your life, and or if you man and you looking for something to help you with your beard, this is awesome. This thing right here is it right here. So you definitely want to check this out, and I'll put that on, and it's pretty much the deal all day. So make sure you check that out. Again, that's over on Tree right now. Again, shipping in less than 48 hours. Okay, shipping meaning if you place your order today, within 48 hours, it will already be in the mail coming your way. So make sure you check that out. Okay, all right. So today we're going to be getting into the following topics. Okay, the Werther effect. This was something that we talked about, you guys, several times. I've touched on this. What is the Werther effect, and how is that related to the lynching stories that we've been hearing today? Because a lot of people out here believe that that's what's happening, is that black folks are being systematically pulled from their houses, pulled from the streets, pulled from their cars, wherever, and in the middle of very dense black communities that are policed by mostly blacks, that are governed by mostly black folks, in some cases even in broad daylight, that somehow black folks are being snatched and being tied up in trees, and nobody at all is noticing this. And but we said, one of the things I kept emphasizing over and over again is that, a as a black individual, black American, that's very proud of my history, but I try to look at all of it. I don't look at the parts that make me comfortable or the parts that fit a narrative. I try to look at all of it, because that's how you learn. Um, I have acknowledged many, many times that yes, you have had black folks who were lynched by wicked white people or anti-black people in this country, but in other places too. So yes, this is something that has happened. When I am in no denial of that at all. It has happened, and you're gonna always have people out here that hate us just because of how we look, right? It's just That's just how the world is. But is that the sole reason, particularly right now in 2026? And what I basically said was, no, it's not. There's, because the evidence isn't matching the facts that we do know, right? So we're going to talk about the weather effect again, so that people can really understand what exactly that is, right? So we're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about, do a quick update on the Carmelo Anthony, the Nolan story. We're going to get into that as well. And, because there's a lot of lies that have been floating out here. And thankfully, as I've told you guys, you have to wait for the truth. You have to wait till the facts come out, and the facts are coming out. And thankfully, and so we're going to take the time and we're going to look at it. We're not picking sides. Our side is the truth. Our side are the facts. That's it. Okay. And that's it. We don't have team A, team B here. We're going to look at the facts as we know them. All right. We're going to look at that. The next topic I'm going to talk on is ending the straight black male. You're going to definitely want to hear that piece, because I am noticing a huge trend right now where more and more people are, there's this, we've talked about on this platform, the rise of black feminism, but feminism has been around for ages, and it was reignited in the 60s and in the 70s. But then you and black women initially were not even trying to get into feminism. But once black women really latched onto it, it has become more of a lethal thing, right? And just to be clear, any sound individual wants to see all people win, right? If you're a good hearted person and you're doing all the right things and all of that, then there should be no reason why there's roadblocks that are placed in your life that prevent you from being the best that you can be. So that's regard. I don't care if you're a man. I don't care if you're a woman. It doesn't matter to me. I want to see good-hearted people, well-intentioned people to win. So, and that's it. But what we're seeing in these movements now is an intentional targeting of straight black men. And I'm going to give you some examples to show you that that is in fact happening, particularly in, like I said, straight black men. All right. I'm going to give you some examples of that. And then we'll touch very quickly on, oh my goodness, the Indiana, Gary, Indiana. Here's what the headlines are saying. Oh my God, there's mostly black town that is, they have been out of power for almost 2 weeks. It's racism. Ah, oh my God, oh my God. Well, we're going to give you some perspective on that as well. Okay. So we got a lot, we got quite a few things we're going to cover within a very short time. So, like I said, John, I'm using a brand new software here. I've never used this before. I'm going to try some things here. Hopefully, they work. And so just bear with me and let's get to it, okay? So, all right, so let's quickly get into this whole Werther effect thing. So, what is the Werther effect? Let me bring an image up here on the screen. Hopefully, we'll be able to get it. I think we're doing pretty well now, but let's try it and let's see if I can get an image up here. All right, so we know it's not that. Okay, so let me get hold on. Here we go. All right, so here we go. What is the Werther effect? The Werther effect is named after the main character in the 19, or rather in the 1774 novel *The Sorrow of Young Werther* by Jonathan Wolfgang von Goethe. In the story, the young hero dies by suicide after a painful broken heart. After the book came out, a tragic wave of copycat suicides spread through Europe as some readers mimicked the character. All right. So that is how the Werther effect got its name. We're going to read from this article here. I actually have a link to the article in our on our community page, so make sure you check that out. But I'm gonna read from this in a minute here. But let me go back here. So what I have been saying on this platform is this: is that there is undoubtedly a very serious issue in this world that we live in, of when it comes to mental health. Mental health right now is one of those things that is becoming progressively worse. We all see it in different waves and different flavors, if you will, different manifestations of it. Just because someone has a mental health issue, it doesn't mean that they're ready. They just walking around acting crazy or saying crazy things and all of that. And like our dear sister Mauricia, like she said the last time we were on here, you have a lot of people who are functional, meaning that they can go to work, they can drive, they can do regular things that normal people can do and still have some level of mental instability, right? And so when you combine that with what you're seeing on social media, the power of social media and what it does, it simply amplifies it. And in some cases, in many cases, it normalizes these types of behaviors, right? And so what's been happening, and so as you know, social media, as I told you many times, it's a place where a lot of people lie. There are a lot of liars out here, and we're gonna when we touch on the Carmelo Anthony and what's the other dude, Nolan. When we touch on that, you're going to see the amount of lies that have been put out here, and when people who are off balance mentally read those lies, they take those things, because they don't have any kind of weather vane, if you will, internally that's centered. They will oftentimes act on those lies, right? And so when we started hearing in recent years about different black individuals found hanging in trees, um, immediately the response was for many black people was that this was something that was happening because white people were attacking black people, right? But as I told people when those stories were coming out, let's wait and see. Let's see what the investigations come back with. And these investigations, most of them, because yours truly has taken the time. I don't go by headlines. I wait and I comb through all the details of these different cases. What the investigate, and it's not just a local police sheriff that is coming up and saying, "Yeah, we ain't going to investigate." Most of the time, because you're dealing with something that is very egregious and it's very much tied to the unfortunate part of the civil rights storyline, you almost always are going to have federal involvement. So all of these hanging cases that we have heard in the last few years, especially, and I would say going back even further than that, there's just about in every case there is some level of federal involvement. Okay, and so you have the local doing their autopsy and their investigation, you have the state doing their investigation, and then you also have the feds doing their own stuff as well. So you got in most of these cases you have three levels of investigation that's taking place, and then when I look through just about all of them, they all came back pretty much saying, and I ain't talking about what was happening during Jim Crow. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about in the recent last 3, maybe 4 years. All of them came back. These were self deletions. All right. And they have multiple evidence and proof that they have presented showing that that was the case. You have anything, a lot of it, the evidence was coming from cameras, other witnesses, just receipts, all kinds of stuff. I mean, there was one case where someone literally went to Walmart, bought the rope, bought the step stool, bought everything he needed to basically self delete himself. Okay. These are black people that do this kind of thing. All right. And when, so I do understand on one hand when black folks say immediately jump to the historical precedent of that. But we can't, but if we want to be factual, we're going to have to be willing to look at the facts. And the facts are we living in an era right now where you have people right now that will literally do anything to be acknowledged, to be seen. Now that you have social media, we looked at the numbers, we looked at the data on this and talked about on social media how you have how black Americans out of all groups spend the most face time on social media out of all groups in America. We went through the data. I showed you all of that. So if you have a demographic that spends a bulk of their time on social media, and you also couple that with a percentage of them that have uh, um, mental health issues, that is a very bad combination. And that's what brings into what we're calling the Werther effect. Okay. So now enters in this recent story. We heard about the individual in Raleigh. That was the latest case that we heard about the individual who, it was a man that found him, that was hung, or he was hanging from a tree. I believe he was in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, so let me pull up this article here. I'm not going to pull it up on the screen. I showed you what I have the link in the community page, so you could check it out there. But let me go ahead and pull up, read to you a certain section of this article so you can hear exactly the Werther effect. And this is what's going on, you guys. Okay. Anyway, if you're just joining me, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys so much for joining us today. And hope you guys are doing quite well. Okay, so anyway, let me scroll down here. I'm going to get to the part here. And in this article, I do want you guys to do when I say do, everybody says they do their research. I really, but we take that very seriously because everybody says that. But I really strive to do anything I talk about. I'm really spending a great deal of time digging into these things. This article here was a very good article because it kind of detailed how they came across this young man's body, and the time they have timestamps and they have everything. So you know, just check out the article if you're interested in checking out the article. But I want to go to the part of the article where they talk to the mother. All right. So let's take a. I'm gonna read what the mother had to say on this. All right. Boyce said officials have spoken with the man's mother, who said he was 32 years old and had been struggling with mental health issues. After the police department released Saturday night, critics expressed anger on social media that the case was not being investigated as a possible racially motivated killing. There have been multiple hanging deaths involving black people across southern states in recent years, with at least three in North Carolina since 2024. But those theories only disturbed the man's mother. The man's mother, Boyce said. All right. She asked me personally if there was anything I could do to remind the public that the more that misinformation is shared, it just continues to victimize her and her family, the chief said. Boyce said that they were able to conclude how the man died so quickly because the evidence from the scene was pretty apparent. It just took time over the weekend to get to the video to corroborate it, but the evidence was that on Saturday that indicated that it was a suicide self deletion. He said, and then it goes on. And then the police chief, it's a black man, he said, we strongly encourage people, members of the public, to avoid sharing unverified information, photographs, videos, or speculation that could further traumatize this young man's family or unnecessarily create fear and division within our community. So here you have the mother confirming that the reason why this young man basically ended his life was because of the stuff he was reading on social media, all the claims that were being made. And so this young man decided to end his own life in for whatever reason, but the mother also confirmed that he had some mental issues going on. And what I'm saying is if you take the time and you look at all these other previous stories, if the police investigation is concluding that it was suicide, they're not just saying this off of the riff. They're saying this off of weeks and sometimes months of investigation. And once they're able to put the pieces together, I mean, it's pretty much clear that these, in fact, these stories are, in fact, situations where individuals are ending their own lives, but it's being fueled by social media because you got a lot of people out there that don't care. They don't care about the facts. They just care about clicks, and they want to keep on putting this stuff out here, not understanding the severity of the mental health crisis that we're in right now, especially amongst what we call the black community. I cannot stress enough where we are right now when it comes to mental health. The amount of stuff that I'm seeing playing before my eyes right now, just on social media alone, there's certain platforms I just can't even get on anymore because I'm seeing it playing out. And what's really weirding me out is I'm seeing these behaviors come from people who have degrees, who are licensed in certain areas, but their reasoning and how they're talking, it's completely off. And they're saying things that's like, did you even verify any of this stuff at all? But because they have larger platforms, they're able to magnify a lot of this information that hasn't been verified at all. And so people hear this stuff and they just repeat it and they just repeat it and it's over and over again. But by the time the truth comes out, well, it's too late because like the old saying goes, the horse has already left the barn. And People ultimately are going to believe what they want to believe, period. That's just how it goes, you know? And so, this, again, what we're witnessing right now is a much darker phase of what I have been saying was going to happen for years now, and that is this what's called the Werther effect. So I would encourage you to look it up yourself. In a nutshell, the Werther effect is a phenomenon where people basically do copycat suicides. That's basically what that is, and they do it for various reasons. So if you're someone who is dealing with some type of mental instability, maybe you're dealing with certain high stressors at home or wherever, my encouragement to you, and I'm pleading with you, go get some help. And I'm not talking about just going to talk to your pastor, okay? I'm talking about talking to someone who is licensed and has a background in helping people walk through these different scenarios, okay? I can only beg for you to do this because it is going to get worse. It is. I wish I could be positive by that, but I'm just telling you the truth. It is going to get worse for a lot of people. All right, and you're going to see more and more stories like this. And but I am telling you, if you are hearing me, that means there's a chance, there's an opportunity for you to get the help you need. So please go and get the help you need on that, okay? All right, so make sure you check that out. Again, it's called the Werther Effect. Do your research on that, all right? If you're just joining us again, welcome. So glad that you guys are here. Just be patient with me during this broadcast because I'm using a brand new piece of software here, and I'm just learning it. So there's going to be certain things I'm going to show or whatever, and it might not come up right or whatever. So just bear with me, okay? So anyway, let's move on to the next thing here. Um, there's another article. I have, if you, I haven't really, because I'm doing so many things right now, I'm very busy. There's certain things I'm not going to make the time for. There's other things I make partial time for. It just really depends. I've been keeping my eyes on both of the Nolan case and the Carmelo Anthony case, but from a distance. And as I've been telling you guys, I said, listen, it's going to be very critical with all the misinformation that's out here coming from various sides. Make sure you wait until the facts come out. Okay, make sure you wait till the facts come out because a lot of people are running on partial information. Well, a lot of people didn't take that advice and now they are being shown the truth. And let's start with the Carmelo Anthony case. Now, as you know, the Carmelo Anthony team has made it abundantly clear, and there's a lot of people out here who felt that Carmelo Anthony did not get a fair shake in the courtroom. And, one of the reasons is, it comes down to there's the claim that the jury was an all white jury. That is not true. That is not factual at all. The jury was not an all white jury. It was absent of black folks. But the reason why is the black people that they did interview, many of them said right off the rip that they could not see themselves putting a young black man in prison. Well, if you're trying to get on a jury and you're the person that is the focus of attention is a black person, it doesn't matter if it's the defense or the prosecution. It doesn't matter if you say something like that, you're not going to be picked or chosen. And for some dumb reason, people just do not get that or understand. It's almost like, yeah, but I'm still entitled to be. No, you can't say that. I mean, it's the same thing if, let's say, if it was a white supremacist. I mean, if someone got up on there and said, I want to be on the jury and, and I'm white power, white pride, or whatever, well, you're not going to be on the jury. It doesn't work that way. And so, so anyway, that was one of the reasons. The other reasons is there was some things in terms of allowing certain individuals to cover the jury, because not the jury, the court case while in session. The judge felt that in order to optimize, to protect the identity of the minors that were testifying in the the session, the jury session, during the court session, he felt that it was necessary to keep cameras out of the courtroom and all of that kind of stuff. But here you had some black individuals who went past that and were actually leaking out the names of some of the minors that were testifying during the court case. I mean, this is the kind of irresponsibility BS that we were seeing out, that was being played out. And so you had that going on. And then there was some other issues that not the prosecution, the defense felt that Carmelo Anthony did not get a fair shake. All right. And you got a lot of people out here who are standing on their square saying that he was an individual that basically was defending himself. Okay. So that's pretty much what's going on. And so fast forward, they got the NAACP involved. They got Ben Crump involved. They got other people involved. And so now they are in the middle of trying to see if they can retry the entire case. But we're going to go through some stuff today, and it's like a fool's errand. It's a fool's errand at this point, because we're going to explain. We're going to read the article. The best article I can find that covered everything was on CBS News, and they cover all the new revelations. What happened during the court case, behind the scenes, between the defense, between the and the prosecution. They made what's called like a gentleman's agreement, and what that is that they are agreeing that certain information is going to be left out between the person that they are defending on both sides of the argument. So in this case, we're talking Carmelo Anthony, and we're talking about the individual that he killed, Metcalf. And there is some very, I don't even know how to describe it, very check sword backstories on both of them. And both sides realize that if we put all of this out on either side, it's going to make trying this case even more difficult. So they entered in on what's, and it's a very regular practice. This isn't just a Texas thing, but all over the country they do this, on what's called a gentleman's agreement, where they said, listen, we're just going to focus on this key aspect of the case only. That's what we're going to focus on. And we're going to leave all this other stuff out. Well, that wasn't good enough, because people still start saying, well, no, this is racism, blah, blah, blah. And so people were saying, okay, if you want to go down this road, you do know that there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come out that's not going to make it any easier for Carmelo. It's not. It's going to make it more difficult. Well, there's stuff that's come out. And what I want to do now is, I have the article here. It's on CBS News. I'm going to read through it here. Just and I'm going to try to go through it quickly, y'all. I'm just going to give you the highlights of it. But I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to check it out. And this is, CBS is like ABC, Fox, or whatever, is all mainstream media to me. But this is the article right here. You can look it up, check it out on your own. But right now, I would say their coverage has been very even handed. This is who I would trust. I know you got a lot of people out here. It's like Black News Network and, Black Authority News Network or whatever. I'll be honest with you. I don't trust any of them, because I have listened to them, and the amount of information they intentionally have left out is insulting to anybody who wants to know the facts. And this article, this publication, along with others, have done a very good job in presenting all the sides of the information that has been presented in the last couple of days. So I would advise you to check this out, and we're going to go through both of them. Okay. So very quickly, I'll talk about this again. This is information that was never going to be made public, but the Carmelo side, they wanted to push for a retrial. Well, this is what's going to come out. Okay. So anyway, the article starts off with let's see. I'm just going to go on here. We're going to start with the Austin Metcalf side, okay, and what came out about him. All right. Austin Metcalf and his brother Hunter Metcalf were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK, Kill All Blacks, and Hail Hitler, along with the N word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation, court documents show. Records revealed they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff and we did some vandalism." There are several documented instances of Austin Metcalf using racial slurs in school, and in 2023, Austin Metcalf was accused of bullying a black student in class. So as you can see, he has a history, particularly when it comes to his view on black folks. But the question I have before you is this: we're if we're only focusing on what took place that day, how much weight do you think this really should hold? Okay, I'm just putting that out here, but I haven't given you the whole picture yet. All right, here we go. In in 2018, according to court documents, while still in elementary school. So see how far they went back. So this is going back to elementary school. All right. Austin Metcalf and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to Austin Metcalf's arrest. So he was arrested in elementary school, bullying people. So he has a history of bullying. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin Metcalf allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach, reports state. And he was also kicked off of a football out of a football game and later text someone, "I was about to beat the blank out of those kids." All right, this is what's coming out about Austin Metcalf. All right. During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 revealed that he reportedly called a teacher the B word or used profanity, and that he told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, record shows Austin Metcalf saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. All right. In 2021, he was banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Court documents state that Austin Metcalf was suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to school the following day. So here so far, so that is more of the information that came out about Austin Metcalf. And one thing I want to point out is that these they compiled all of this information going as far back as elementary school. Okay? So I just want you to keep that in mind. All of this information here regarding him. So we're not at all in any way, shape, or form defending him. Everything I've read so far is egregious. It is very concerning, and is nothing really to defend. But the question before you is, did that have any impact on what took place the day that Austin Metcalf was stabbed? Did that have any impact? Okay, so we're going to put a check mark there. Okay, remember, we're using our minds here on this platform. Okay, all right, so now we're going to read Carmelo Anthony. And I'm going to tell you right now, like I said again, like I said before, I have looked at quite a few black platforms that's covering this case. Not one has touched this part of the story. Not one. But the couple that did kind of try to go there, they immediately try to make it seem that it was all lies and it wasn't true. I'm reading to you what came straight out of the courtroom. Okay? So we ain't going to do that. All right? We're going to look at the facts on both sides. Prosecutors revealed details from Carmelo Anthony's character dossier, but the never before released details of Carmelo Anthony's teenage years in Louisiana up to the day of his arrest for murder are also disturbing. On the day that Carmelo Anthony would fatally stab Austin Metcalf, prosecutors say he sent a text message at 1 a.m. which said, "I'm low key on the verge," and emphasized it. So, here on one side, Austin Metcalf, who basically has this history of some anti-black, views or whatever that he's shared, right? Going back to elementary school, he's had that, along with just being a bully. He has that history, right? Now, again, as I asked before, and I'm gonna ask again, I want you to focus on the events that took place that day where he was stabbed. That's what we're going to focus on. All right. We're not necessarily dismissing that. We're going to keep it in mind, but we're going to look at the difference between these two characters. Okay. That's what we're going to do. All right. So, likewise, we're going back in time to Carmelo Anthony's little his footprints, if you will. All right. Later that morning on April the 2nd, 2025, hours before Carmelo Anthony would kill Austin Metcalf with a knife at a high school track meet, prosecutors said Carmelo Anthony's girlfriend reported to a Centennial High School staff member that Carmelo Anthony was engaging in stalking behavior to include, but not limited to, driving by her home and refusing to allow her to end their relationship. So these are things I would say, if you're an investigator, you should put check marks by, because these are behaviors that do tie in to what led to an action. Do you understand what I'm saying? It led to an actual action that took place. You understand what I'm saying? All right, let's move on. Also, because he's already saying he's low key on the verge. Okay, so let's go on. Also, in a 75-page filing, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony had previously been accused, of stealing his girlfriend's phone, and in October 2024 wrote a to-do list for his girlfriend about how to deal with quote weirdos, which included the line, "Say some slick like my boyfriend killed people." All right. So again, we're going back in his time a little bit. All right. But these are, even though these things are off the chain, you got to view it a little bit differently in how it tied to what eventually took place, which was a murder. Okay. Um, there's also text messages which he admits on at least two occasions to punching girls in the face. Prosecutors also found text messages from 2021 between Carmelo Anthony and another student about robbing someone for $300. There are other text messages where Carmelo Anthony talks about a fight and punching someone so hard he had to stop fighting. In 2023, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony told a friend that he was going to vandalize someone's house in Austin, Texas, saying, "I just feel like I just got a grudge." So both of these individuals are demonstrating some very hyper characteristics, behaviors that are just very dark and very concerning. Both of them are. Okay? One isn't better than the other. That is not what I'm trying to say at all. But I want you to, what we're focusing on is the action that took place that day. And there's some key things that Carmelo said or did that, because it actually led to an action, right? So let's go back. So, because I want to make sure I'm very clear with this. Austin Metcalf, there are things he did in his past that were wrong, that were off, or whatever. And as a result, he was penalized, he was punished, and those specific things were dealt with, right? So we know that Austin Metcalf, when we're looking at his profile, he really wasn't a good person. We know that, okay? So nobody's trying to defend that. But we can't argue and say that he kind of got away scot free because we're showing that this dude was penalized, received some type of punishment at every turn for every action, right? That's what we're saying here. In this particular case here, we're looking at it the same exact way. But with Carmelo, his one action led to him murdering somebody. That's where this makes a difference. Okay, so let's go a little bit more on this. Okay, 2020 in a text conversation with a friend saying, "Hold on." Okay, so this is so this is Carmelo, and so we had Austin Metcalf saying at one point he's going to shoot up the school. Now we got Carmelo Anthony saying in a text message in 2023 that he said, "I'm gonna shoot up the school tomorrow with my blick," but later sent messages saying I would never actually do that. So both of these individuals, Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, both at one time had threatened to shoot up the school. But see, if you listen to a lot of these black platforms, they only mention the Austin Metcalf stuff. They don't talk about what Carmelo was saying. Carmelo was saying some wild stuff on this thing. Anyway, let's go on. In a 2024 text thread, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony admitted to carrying a firearm, telling friend before a party that he would have the gun in my pocket. According to the documents, there were other messages threads in which Anthony also mentions carrying a gun. Teen years in Louisiana. After numerous suspensions for fighting while attending school in Louisiana, there are messages between Carmelo Anthony and his girlfriend after he moved to Frisco, court documents show. In one message thread, he suggests that he should just sit for a while and replied, "Yeah, and punch people may yeah, and punch people, maybe run sometimes. I like to I like to it's like priority to me." I'm just reading as it's written, y'all. He's saying it's like a priority to him to punch people, I guess. I like punching people. When I get mad, I see red. When I get mad, I black out. When I get mad, I can't control myself. You can't skip over this. These are all factors. Again, none of this would have come out. None of this would have come out. But the defense wanted to go so hard to retry the case. Well, now all of this stuff is coming out. Okay, and it doesn't stop there. In 2024, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony attempted to assault a teacher, saying, "I put my hands in face and everything." Also in 2024, messages obtained by prosecutors suggest Carmelo Anthony tried to bring a weapon into the State Fair of Texas, asking a friend if the State Fair got metal detectors. When he was told yes, his friend responded, "You got the poker? Yeah, I might have to toss it," replied Carmelo Anthony. So Carmelo Anthony was already walking around with a knife and a gun. So what, he was defending himself too? He was defending himself with that too? Okay. Prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony admitted to stealing a watch and earbuds in separate burglaries in Collin County, and also to bringing a weapon onto Frisco school campus, and said about his girlfriend, "She went into my bag to get my computer and I said no, and she still went in it and grabbed it, and my gun and my knife, and some other stuff fell out." There are numerous unreleased photos and videos of Carmelo Anthony holding firearms and making threats. Authorities found a note on Carmelo Anthony's phone with a long list of disturbing racial tropes. Now, listen to this. Listen to this. Let me read that again. Authorities also found a note on Carmelo Anthony's phone with a long list of disturbing racial tropes and slurs about blacks, whites, and Hispanics. So for those of you riding with him, he ain't really riding with y'all. In one message thread, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony wrote, "I hate gay people." Prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony repeatedly threatened to murder his girlfriend in the text. Let me stop there. Um, in another one of those text messages regarding black people, it had something to do with fried chicken. It was something very, it was a stereotype. It was a stereotype. This guy literally hated himself. He hated black folks. He had pretty much hated everybody. But yeah, I saw a piece of it. I wish I had it in front of you right now, but you can look it up. It's online. All right. Prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony repeatedly threatened to murder his girlfriend in a text messages, some of them saying, "How many bullets you want coming out of your chest? And I'm going to get you blank." They also said that he threatened her with a knife. In one message, told her in another, "When I stab somebody, I'm going to lick their blood off of the blade." Prosecutors and defense attorneys got this character reports from a combination of police reports, school records, and cell phone extractions. So there's more that is coming out. I think they've kind of pretty much closed. They're trying and they're in the decision phase right now if they're going to proceed with this. But quite honestly, I'm low key wanting them to retry this case because all of this needs to come out. All of it does. Well, it's out now, but all of this needs to come out. So this is someone that you willing to go to bat for. This individual here. So again, like I said, we are not sitting up here and not just trying to focus on Carmelo Anthony and his rap sheet. I also went through Austin Metcalf's. And like I said again, that dude, he has a whole series of issues on his own. That was absolutely true. But again, we're investigators here, all right? So what we're focusing on is what took place that day. Austin Metcalf, not really a good person, has a very checkered history, right? Carmelo Anthony also has some very demented stuff going on. However, up into the day, he was already saying some things that incriminated him into lead. So, I mean, if they were to retry it, they would retry it as premeditated murder because he literally was talking about stabbing someone, licking the blade. He was also his girlfriend was accusing him of stalking. He texted the night before that he's low key at his limit or whatever it was. So there are several things that he did. That's really what I'm focused on. All that other stuff. If you have it's one thing to have certain opinions that most people in society don't agree with, right? That in of itself isn't illegal, but it's when you act on them that is when it becomes problematic, and that is what the point I'm trying to make. And I can't say this enough. In under no circumstances am I trying to say Metcalf was some kind of saint. He was not. He was not. Okay, we're not saying that. But what I want you to do as our viewers and our listeners is that I want you to really try to, if you want justice, you got to start from a place of facts. And like I said again, in my view of all of these different platforms out here, black platforms, what I just read to you, most of them not even touching it. And if they do mention it, they are automatically saying right out the gate, all of it is not true, it's false, it's misinformation, all that kind of stuff. And that's no, it's what's in court. It was said in court, and they got the evidence. They got the text messages, y'all. So let me just pivot just a little bit away from that, and let me just say this: that what really disturbs me about this is this. Some years ago, I actually interviewed a representative from an organization I'm sure many of you have heard is called the Innocence Project. The Innocence Project is a major organization that spends a great deal of time, money, and resource going after individuals who have been wrongfully accused and have been languishing in prison for numbers and numbers of years. And they have a very good success rate. And so I actually did a interview with them, and they were going through all the different cases that they were very successful with and all of that. If you would go to their page right now, a vast majority of those individuals that work with the Innocence Project are white. Most of the people that they are helping to get sentences reduced or eliminated are black individuals. And so I'm very grateful for organizations like that. Now, these are cases that are very clear that it was wrong, it was, whatever. And you got people who are spending time and resources to help free these individuals. But here you have a case where you got this little bastard, and I'm going to call him that, who did all of this stuff. From an investment standpoint, it's a complete and utter waste of time to invest in trying to treat him and put him on the level of some kind of like civil rights hero. Why are folks spending so much time and resource to make a point with him when you have many other black individuals that are languishing in prison today that have done maybe a fraction, if any, of this stuff that Carmelo Anthony has done? And nobody gives two damns about those individuals. And guess who's putting up the money? Guess who's footing the bill to help get these black individuals out of prison? In many cases, it's white folks. Carmelo Anthony, let's raise $1 million. Carmelo Anthony, oh no, that's our brother. That's our twin. We got to do. Do you understand what I'm saying? You understand where I'm getting at? Carmelo Anthony and all of that stuff that we just read to you, I'm just going to lay it out to you. Is that really worth the investment when you of your emotions, of your time and all of that, considering you have a whole trove of black men, black women who are languishing in prisons all across the United States who may have done a fraction of that deserve the kind of attention that has been given to Carmelo Anthony? I'm going to leave that up to you. And that's that. But I've shared my thoughts on that. But yeah, that's where it is right now. It's, as you know, it's still going on right now. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. Like I said again, I really don't give two damns if they retry it or not. I really don't. I really don't. But if they do, I think it's going to be way worse for him. Now, if you're going to include all that information we just went through, it's I, there's got to be another reason why they're going to retry this after all of that's coming out. That's to me, it's like the dumbest thing. I would have just been like, you know what, man, take your 30 and just keep it moving. But now you're making it way worse for him. So he may walk out there with 50 or even more. You know, Twilight, good points. That some of these innocent black men could have made a good husband and a good, or in the case of the women, a good wife. And a lot of these people have been thrown in prison just over some dumb stuff. You know what I mean? You got black men or black women languishing in prison over like, like minor drug charges, like for marijuana or whatever. Here, this dude done talk about all this stuff, and people going to bat for him like that. Ain't worth it. Ain't worth it. Anyway, let's move on. Anyway, if you guys are just joining us, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Now, this is the part of the program of the broadcast where I am going to be switching over to trying to show some things on the screen again. This time it's going to be video with audio, and hopefully I can get it to work. But we're going to talk about very briefly this trend that I'm seeing happening right now, where it's the rise of black feminism, and it has reached a whole nother level right now. And one of the things I told you is this: if you guys have followed us, let's start with the black church. Again, the black church is a pro feminist, pro black feminist LGBTQ organization. Let me say that again. The black church is a pro LGBTQ black feminist organization. It is not an organization or institution meant for what we call the black family. It is not meant for that. Maybe at one time, long ago it was, but it's not there now. You cannot tell me that a straight black man can go into any church, black church today and get the help that he needs. There's no way. I would highly discourage that. If a black man needed some help and assistance, I wouldn't. The last place on earth I would send him is to the black church. And we have done had quite extensive discussions and talks on that, and going through some very blunt details on why that is. And but let me just start off with that. And the reason why I wanted to start off with that is because the black church has been very instrumental when it comes to politics, and we're seeing the type of politics that's being pushed now. We saw in this recent presidential election with Kamala Harris, again, Indian woman, all right, and because she was an AKA, black men, particularly straight black men, were beaten into, you have to support her because she's an AKA, and really she is a black woman. I've saw black men coming to tears because they felt that it had to happen because she is a black woman in their eyes. And this is a woman, I'm talking about Kamala Harris now, who said right out of her Indian mouth, she said straight up that she will not do anything specific for black people. She said that. And so that turned off a lot of people. All right. So anyway, so we saw that boiling over, but it hasn't stopped. It continues. Then we started seeing this concern over and over again. We kept hearing this mention over and over about over 300 black women have lost their jobs. Over 300 black women have lost their jobs. And they said this over and over again on repeat. Okay, Trump has killed the jobs of over 300 black women, 300 black women, so 300,000 black women, over 300,000 black women. They kept saying this on repeat, and we covered it and we talked about it, right? But we did something that most people did not on these platforms, is that we followed it all the way through. And what we discovered is that many of those 300,000 people, black women, two things. Number one, all of them, 100%, were federal workers. And we talked about the insanity of having that high percentage of your population dependent on federal jobs. We talked about that, but we also talked about the history as to why that was, right? But anyway, that was that. But we also discovered that many of those black women who lost their jobs actually regained them. But we took it a little bit further. What we also discovered was this: where there was roughly 300,000 black women who lost their jobs during that window of time, there was close to 500,000 black men who lost their jobs. 500,000. Sorry, I hope I said that right. So did we hear anything about them? How are they progressing? Well, we looked into that too. Black men are having a more difficult time regaining job opportunities, not at the same rate as black women. You hearing anything about that? Well, the only thing we're hearing about is all the black women. Okay. Now I want you to, as we're talking about this, because I do know this, because I've been doing this for a while. A lot of times when I'm talking about, or anybody, we hear somebody saying black women, the assumption is I am talking about, I'm assuming, making wide assumptions about all black women. And if you are a follower of mine, you know that I don't do that. Okay? We talk about specific, depending on the conversation, we're talking about a very specific demographic within the black woman demographic. Okay? That's what we're talking about. And I was very clear from the beginning, as we were talking just now, is that we're talking specifically about the black feminist wing of black women. And we also know that what we see on social media isn't a true full representation of black women or black men for that matter. So I'm gonna be ultra clear and when I as I'm talking about this. So if you hear me saying black women, don't assume if I'm making any critical statements about black women, don't assume that I'm saying all black women fall into that category because that is not what I'm saying. Okay. So I just want to be very clear with that. Okay. So anyway, but we didn't hear about the over 500,000 black men who lost their jobs and are still having a very difficult time in regaining employment. Saddle that with the fact that we have AI and all of that other stuff is making it difficult for a lot of people to get employment these days. Okay, but we don't hear about that, do we? Do we hear about Jamal Bryant? Does he mention any of that? No. Oh, it's black women. It's black women are the ultimate victims, in society, and we have to protect all black women, and we can't say anything against them at all. When a black woman speaks, everybody needs to shut up. I don't abide by that at all. I don't buy that at all. I believe in giving mutual respect. Respect is something that is earned, not given. I don't give a damn who you are. Okay? You start at zero with me if I don't know you. Period. You understand? That's how it works with me. Okay. And so, some people can't handle that. Oh, well, that's what it is. But anyway, so fast forward, something recently that just happened, and that was with Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith. I'm not going to get too much into that, but basically, the National Black Journalists Association came out and gave him a thumbs down award because they said that he was saying some very disparaging things about black women. Okay, now I am no fan of Stephen A. Smith. There are numbers of things I disagree with him on. That's why I don't really talk about him, right? But this particular case was very interesting to me because Stephen A. Love him, don't love him, like him, don't like him, it doesn't matter. If you took the time to listen to his rebuttal to that, he went down a whole list of various things that he has done for black journalists, especially black women, in helping them to secure their own places within the sports media world. He went through a whole list and showed receipt after receipt after receipt after receipt, all of that stuff. And he's still doing things. But here's where it got really interesting to me. Stephen A. Has a history of saying some very disparaging things about black male athletes. He has a long history of that. There are many black men who have accused him of going extra hard on black male athletes, whereas it seems like he goes pretty soft on white male athletes. He has a long history on that. Now, what's interesting to me is that the National Black Journalists Association, despite all of that, had nothing at all to say on that. He was not given a thumbs down award when he was going after black men. But the moment he says something about not Carmelo Anthony, Kamala Harris, the woman down in the Congresswoman, Jasmine Crockett, the moment he asked them questions that didn't fall into a certain narrative. Now all of a sudden he's saying some disparaging things about all black women, and that's when they gave him the award. And that is where I found to be quite interesting because it's not showing any consistency. And it's what it's also showing me too is that you have a high priority of making sure that, again, black women are protected, whereas black men, well, you're on your own. So it did not show any consistency to me on that. So I just wanted to point that out. But I want to show you these videos here, and this is where I'm going to try to, hopefully it works here. I want you to see these videos here. And it's not just the videos. If you're able to track them down, both of these videos I found on TikTok. It's not the videos, it was the comments. And it was a abundance of comments of black women who was in agreement with what was being said in these videos. So let me try to pull these up for you guys and let's see. Hopefully we can get it to work. Okay, hold on for just a second. Okay, hold on.
I really believe that like men should like start like in jail and like work their way out to prove again a good man to be put in society because the type of men that are on this planet right now need to be eradicated immediately. Like they need to be eradicated immediately. Like, because I'm sick of this shit. I just watched a fucking man like was walking his girl and she was walking on the side of the sidewalk. Why are you not your girlfriend walking inside the side of the sidewalk and not inside? Like, you know, why aren't you on the way to the sidewalk? Like, bitch, okay, I hate when men do that. I hate when men do that. I just hate men. I just hate men in general. I just hate men in general. No shade. Like, if you take a look at shows and series TV from the 70s, 80s, and some even in the 90s, you'll see repetitive conservative ideas. Take a look. I really
Sherman, you are tired of seeing him.
I'm tired of seeing men breathe.
Why do I keep doing that?
I don't know. Like, go away. You're getting on our nerves. We need peace. Go see that lady so you can stop getting on our nerves, god damn it.
Are you talking to my ex?
You know, I'm just like, honestly, I'm talking to the straights. Okay, not the heterosexuals, but the straights, okay? Please wash your ass. Matter of fact, don't do it. Okay, get sepsis, okay? Natural selection gonna take y'all ass out anyway, so we can actually have peace over this motherfucker, okay? Because I'm tired and I know you tired.
I'm exhausted.
Okay, so I don't know if you were able to hear that. Someone said that the audio was muffled. What I can try to do is later on, I'll put a link to those videos and you can see it for yourself. But I'll just tell you one of them, the guy was saying that he wished that all black men basically were born in prison. And basically, if you make it out, then you're good, you know. Another guy, he was saying that he's tired of seeing straight black men breathe. He's done with it. And then you saw the black woman who was interviewing him basically agreeing with him. But like I said, you also need to look at the comments under these videos because the comments under these videos, it was really, really something because there was so many black women who were in total agreement with this. There's another video that I would show you, but it's actually from a clip from an episode of Good Times, but in short, it shows really something. It's I'll try to summarize it. Basically, Thelma was being interviewed by a young black at college. I don't know if he was a student or professor or something like that. And so he was doing a report on her. And so, of course, James, the father, he was like, okay, what's going on? And the mother, too, they were very concerned. It was like, okay, you treating our daughter like some kind of test subject or something. What you doing? They ready to go to blows with him. And so it wasn't until they actually read the report, they turned to the page or whatever, and in the report, what he concluded, again, this was part of the show, right? Um, in the report, what he said was black men, black children who come from a home where there's a mother and father tend to be the most stable, and versus children that come out of a home where it's only the mother or only the father, there tends to be the most problems, something like that. And the look on both the parents when they read that, they were like, oh my God, man. So and then James Evans was like, read that part again about the father. And he said, yeah, he said, and they read the part again, and it basically said, when the father's home, the children tend to be the most stable. And he put a smile on his face. He was like, yeah, like that, right? And it was just really something because it shows you that we weren't always like this, And so, yeah, I just wanted to point that out. And, but yeah, there is a very noticeable trend right now to go specifically after straight black men, and I will say this that, yeah, not all men have been perfect and not all black women have been perfect. We understand this. But we also need to recognize a couple of things. One, what you see on social media, the vast majority of it isn't real. There are many good black men, good black women that are out here. I know for some of you, you may read the stories or see the videos. They're like, I went to this dating thing and only it was all women there, and the black men ain't showing up because the black men are saying, fellas, get your passports and all this other stuff. Yes, that is happening. That is true, right? But I want you to know that is not representative of all black women and is not representative of all black men. A lot of what you're seeing, unfortunately, is being heavily influenced by what you see on social media. And what did we say in the beginning of this? They don't need to be married, quite honestly. They need to go get some help. And that's just the facts. You know what I'm saying? So just know that. And my wife and I, we actually just celebrated 28 years of being married. And I tell you right now, I wouldn't have had it any other way. If I could do it all over again, I would more than happily do it over and over again. And I'm very happy and privileged and fortunate to have married the person that I married. So I am proof. I am living proof to tell you that yes, there are some very good black women out here. And I'm sure she will say the same about me. Look, she better anyway. And so I just want to give you that encouragement that what you see on social media, it most of it is it's not real. It's not real. It's not real. For those of you who may not have that same story, I just want to encourage you as well. Just be the best person you can be. I will just tell you that. And we'll see what life brings. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Last thing we're going to touch on is Indiana is in the dark. Well, we're hearing I'm seeing again on social media, there are people out here who have a concerted effort to get black folks in our emotions and stayed in our emotions, always bitter, always angry, always out of sorts. And what they're saying is, in a way, I'm seeing a lot of black platforms trying to spin it, is that Indiana, Gary, Indiana, is a mostly black town, and America's doing what America always does. It's not prioritizing black people, and we're seeing more racism, blah, 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 because they've been out of power for almost 2 weeks now and all that. Well, folks, it took me less than 30 seconds to find all the towns throughout the United States who have been out of power for over 2 weeks. And many of them are in areas where there's not too many black people. Appalachia, Midwest, other places. So this is not a brand new occurrence, okay? All of a sudden now it's black people, ooh, oh my God, that's it. No. Let me tell you what else I found out. In the case of Gary, Indiana, what they're dealing with is because of that storm, they said it knocked out over 300 power um, poles, over 300 of them. That's a lot. And if you think that they are going to be able to get all that up in a short amount of time, you better think again. Plus, when you're dealing with older infrastructure, a lot of times it's not as easy just to go in there and flipping a few switches. Now, am I going to sit up here and say that America doesn't have a history of racism when it comes to some of these things? No, I'm not going to say that at all. I'm sure if you look hard enough, you probably see some racial aspects on this. But the way it's being spun and reported, what I am telling you is that it is not out of the norm. This happens all the time. A few years ago, and I'm closing this out now, my wife and I, we put together a rather large group of several hundred individuals. Most of them were black. And we did this on a platform, out here on the internet world. And basically, the focus of it was getting folks, black folks, prepared for disaster situations. And when I tell you I would never do that again, but anyway, that's another story. But one of the things we did, I was just thinking about this before I went live. One of the things we did was we put together a master list, a checklist of all the things that you should make sure you have in your house in the event of an emergency. If the power goes out, what things to have in your house, if the water goes out. But it wasn't just a list. We didn't just do that. We took it a step further. What we did was in that group, I wanted people to be listed or grouped by city and state because I wanted people to know who's in your area that you can actually reach out to and network. So, for example, the power goes out. Oh my God, I don't have power. Oh my, I here by myself. But let's say, for example, if there's someone in the group that may only live a few miles from you, that may have an extra generator. Well, you guys could share a generator. Or someone may have some extra water that they can share, or whatever it may be. So, what we tried to do is we literally tried to build a community like that around that. And like I said again, I would never do that again. I just wouldn't, because again, I think that deserves its own movie and book to do something. But I wouldn't do that again. But I am saying this. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna see if I can find that list, and I'm gonna see if I can repost it for you. It was a PDF, and you could take it and do with it as you will. But don't when you hear stories like this, don't just retweet them or repost them or whatever. Take it as a learning lesson. Say, am I prepared when something like that goes on? Because we should not, under any circumstances, be reliant or dependent on the government or anybody when things like this happen. We should already have the tools and the resources amongst ourselves when things like this happen. Now, here's the other caveat that I will add to it. Don't just link up with people because they are black. Okay? Link up with people that you have some kind of history with and you are familiar with them. If you know these people, if you just think you're going to link up with someone, because I'm telling you right now, when lack comes, the real person comes out. The real devil comes out. I don't care if they're black. I don't care if they're white or whatever. Man, we all the same, man. How can you do that? They pull out their gun and say, "Oh, you want some water? You trying to come and get some of my water? You better get off the. You better get. You tell me I'm lying. People will switch up on you in a second the moment lack is in the room. So what I'm advising is at least have a discussion with people that you actually do trust in your neighborhood, in your community, or even in your family. People that you have a trusting and solid history with, and have this discussion now. What are some things that we have amongst ourselves that we can share in the event of an emergency? Get some extra water, get some extra whatever it is, so that you and your community are well taken care of when these disasters hit. All right. Instead of being on social media and you're using a very little power that you have left on your phone, and you up here, these white people don't love us. These white people don't trust. They don't believe in us. And you sitting up there doing that. And I'm like, dude, that little power, you could have been doing something else with it. This system has already said how much they think of us. What do you think of yourself? Invest in yourself. Okay. So anyway, we covered quite a bit on this broadcast, you guys, and we made it. We'll still figure out this whole software thing. We'll see what's going on. But other than that, thank you so much for joining. I know I'm very milk toast in my presentation. I don't have a lot of flash and stuff going on. I honestly tried the whole TikTok thing. It's just very difficult for me because I just don't have the time or the patience to be doing all that editing and stuff. And then you getting two people looking at, I just don't do that. I just like sitting down and chatting. But most importantly, my encouragement to you is to always, always, always look for the facts, wait for the facts, wait for the facts to come out. Use your mind, okay? Use your mind, use your brain that you've been born with. Ask questions, and don't go with the crowd, even if the crowd looks like you, okay? Don't ever go that, because I'm telling you right now, it's not always the best thing to do, all right? So anyway, you guys take care. We'll keep our eyes on things on this end, and you do the same. And if you have any questions or comments or whatever, feel free to put it in the comments below. And remember, again, this broadcast is brought to you by Samba Tree. Make sure you check out these wonderful products that we have here, and then some. Make sure you check those out. We got some very good products, you guys. I am so excited about this stuff, man, because I just love it being natural. You know what I'm saying? And it's black folks, that's making this stuff. So I'm very happy to see that. So anyway, you guys take care, and I will be seeing you again soon. All right. You enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care. Now I got to figure out how to turn this off. Okay. Let me see. How do I turn this mug off? Okay. Here we go. All right. Take care. I see you.